Hi, and welcome back, Freedom Warriors, to Essential Talks, where you stay for the conversation and you leave empowered. Tonight we have Juma in the house from Impenetrebel. You might recognize him from the courageous warrior that he is, standing up, doing a lot for our community. Before we jump in with Juma, I just want to share a video. I just got this. It's from Dr. What's his name? Karen Moore. So that's our Chief Medical Officer of Ontario. And this was put out on February 17th. Somebody has sent it to me and really brought it to my attention. So I want to go through a couple of things that he says. We're going to post the Facebook link. This way you can go and check it out for yourself. I encourage you to watch it from beginning to end. It's about 6 minutes in the beginning, then they get into question and answer. The question and answer part is probably the best part, is the key part to this whole thing. He's been asked some pretty solid questions. So let's jump right into that. I'm going to put this up here. And so I got it around the 9 minute 22 mark. So let's go ahead with this. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to chop it up a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of explain at the end some of what he's saying here. So.
Your next question comes from Charlie Pinkerton with Queen's Park Briefing. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Dr. Moore. As part of the government's plan to end its mandatory approved vaccination system on March the 1st, I'm of the understanding that the vaccine mandates and soft vaccine mandates for other professions will continue. Have you begun thinking about when these should be ended? And if so, could you sort of explain where you currently stand on these requirements?
Well, thanks very much for that question. Yes, we're reviewing all directives and letters of instruction that we put in place across multiple sectors in Ontario. We do think the highest risk is behind us, that we're heading into a lower risk environment, and that the need for vaccination policies across Ontario's sectors, whether it's health or in colleges and universities, is no longer necessary. So we've started those conversations just in the last couple of days of when we will remove the immunization policy requirement for colleges and universities, for other workplace settings, as well as in the healthcare system. I do think we should align their removal with the removal at a population level. So on March 1st, that may be early for some organizations, but that's my goal, is to have those immunization policies removed by the 1st. They have done their intended purpose, was to improve immunization, to further protect Ontarians. I thank all Ontarians that have come forward to get vaccinated, but they have served their purpose to protect us. And as any public health measure, they have to be removed in a timely manner.
Oh, you're on mute, Jamie, but wow, there's so much to unpackage in that statement.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to point out. What he just said there was that they were policies, not mandates, the vaccination policies, and that they were put into effect to increase the vaccination numbers. He literally just said the reason why they put the passport in effect was to get more people to get vaccinated. I'm going to keep playing this clip, so I'm not going to interrupt too much here.
Follow-up?
Yeah, sorry. Am I following you correctly then that these other, again, when I asked about the other vaccine mandates for professions, essentially, that they could be gone as soon as March 1st? And then just on top of that, various public health measures have come and gone during the pandemic, of course. Once the proof of vaccination system goes away, being likely the most significant, or one of the most significant measures brought to date by the government, do you ever see yourself recommending it return, or is that it for the system?
So I just want to make sure we're on the same page. We have not mandated immunizations. We have mandated that organizations have immunization policies so that.
Just going to interrupt that again. I've been saying right from the beginning that there was no vaccine mandates, that it was a policy for all the businesses out there. It was a mandate that you had a policy about the vaccine. My vaccine policy is I can't ask you about your medical history because I am not qualified. So therefore, it's none of my business. So that's my policy on vaccines with my company. And he has said it. This is right from the horse's mouth. This is gold. I'm going to continue playing this clip.
It's typically get immunized, get educated regarding the benefits and risks of the vaccine, and or have a testing strategy. So that that mandate to have an immunization policy will, it's my intent, together with negotiation with partners, to have them removed by March 1st. I think that's prudent. It follows the removal of proof of immunization for other venues. So I think it's timely to remove them for businesses. There may be mandates by organizations that are not government that would want to have a testing strategy continue, especially if they have a high risk setting. I'll just also be particular that there was a mandate for vaccination in long-term care facilities by the minister. That is separate, as it wasn't a directive by the Chief Medical Officer Health Office.
Separate.
Okay, so the minister just made it a mandate amongst the long-term care. So basically what he just said is all the businesses that have been enforcing the vaccines, and especially with the leaked documents of the 200 adverse effects. So you have to take into consideration that if you're one of those businesses that forced your employees to get vaccinated, and the vaccine companies are not liable for any side effects, you are now liable for any side effects that happen to your employees because you forced them to get a vaccine. So here you're watching the government wash their hands. This is what you're watching right now. The government's washing their hands of this. So yeah, I'm going to play this a little more and then we're going to jump forward to the next part. But there's a couple of layers within this that are, again, this is gold.
Next question. This question comes from Holly Mackenzie-Souter with the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Moore. I want to talk about the pace of the reopening plan. The latest version had 21 days between each step, and you've said repeatedly that's a good and cautious way to monitor the impact of each step. But now we're less than 2 weeks away before all capacity limits and the vaccine certificates end. We're not going to have that much time to monitor the impacts of the changes today. So could you just explain what the rush is with this, especially looking at the wastewater data?
Wastewater data has come down significantly. So we are now, if you recall, we put public health measures in on January 5th. We then opened schools on the 17th. So there was roughly 12-day separation. We then further opened the economy again on the 31st. So another 2-week separation. We then made a 17-day separation. So we're always following the data and the science. I'm just so pleased that our hospitalization rates are coming down very rapidly. They went up rapidly, and now they're coming down in a very quick descent. And remembering hospitalization is a later signal. So I do think the risk is less at a population level. I do think the worst is behind us. And I think following the data, any public health measure should be as short as possible. It limits people's freedoms and rights, and we have to be responsive.
Did he just say that he limited our freedoms and rights? And the whole time, everyone's been saying, you guys that are fighting for freedoms, that's ridiculous. They're not infringing on our freedoms and rights. Yet here it is, right from the horse's mouth. Why have we been fighting so hard? Because we've seen through the bullshit, right? What a shitty job to be the guy that's testing the wastewater, right? So I'm just going to play a bit more, and then I have the last question is pretty good as well. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. This thing's like 22 minutes long. We're just going to take 10 minutes and dissect this a little bit. We're almost done.
To that and the implications of public health measures. So we've always said that they should be proportionate to the risk and balanced in their response. And I think shortening it by 3 to 4 days this time from the 21st to the 17th was reasonable. And because we're having such a rapid descent, and I do anticipate that we won't have any significant rebound in risk to hospitalization, that we can continue at a 2-week march to March 1st to open up more broadly. I've been exposed for many years against them.
Last question.
Your final question comes from Randy Rath with CHCH TV. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, doctor. I'm wondering if you're saying that the necessity for vaccine mandates in workplaces is gone on March 1st. Should people that were fired, that lost their employment because they refused to get a vaccination, should they be rehired?
Well, I would leave that up to the individual corporation. Our policy and recommendation was to have an immunization policy, whether you vaccinate or get tested. If they've gone forward and had a mandate, which was not our direction, I would leave it up to the individual corporation to negotiate that with their workforce.
Okay, so wants the job. Start getting to the other employees that lost their job, your co-workers with you, and start your legal proceedings. Start taking these individuals to where they're supposed to be.
Wow, what an epic backpedal.
Isn't this crazy? There's still a little bit more. Like, let's just finish this. But this is mind-blowing, right out of the horse's mouth.
It's only mind-blowing. Honestly, it's only mind-blowing to those who are not really knowing that this was all wordplay. But go ahead. Like, yeah,
no,
this is funny as hell to me.
They're confessing. That's the mind-blowing part. They're confessing, right? It's time to go to your conspiracy theory friend and tell him, you're right. You've been right all along.
Follow up, and this is the last question.
Would you, doctor, feel confident that an unvaccinated person could go and work in a long-term care facility now?
Well, it's a good question. I think we've improved the infection prevention and control practices significantly in long-term care. I think as we head to low endemicity and low-risk environments in that setting, we should absolutely review all measures that have been put in play. But infection prevention control practices, so masking and hand hygiene, all those practices that work so well before we have vaccine have to be monitored. You need good quality assurance that they're maintained and the workforce is educated in them, realize their benefit. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons learned from our long-term care activities is how to ensure ongoing sustained benefit of the baseline infection prevention control practices to best protect their clientele.
Wow. Just, I cannot believe the level of backstep that did. That was incredible.
Wow.
And like, I'm with you, Juma. The information itself isn't surprising. It's just the level in which of like fear, gotta back away. Like, no, this was all optional from the beginning. Yes, of course. Yes. Twiddling the mustache. Like, it just, oh my God.
Live like someone left the gate open. I'm free, right? Just live that way. Keep living that way. Keep going.
Wow. I feel like that dog's him right now. Just kind of run to the freaking door. My God.
So I encourage everybody, as I said, we're going to put that into the description. I encourage everyone to go and watch that video start to finish. There's a little more in it, and they wind up, breaking a few more things down. I just took the highlights, the gold chunks out of those comments, and played them for us. So, so let's jump right in. Juma, give us a little introduction of yourself, kind of what you're about, where you're from, what you're doing.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know about me, name is Juma Williams. I have my own brand called Impenetrebel. My brand was out before a lot of this pandemic because I was just noticing that a lot of people do not stand up for themselves. I'm noticing that a lot of people don't even speak out for themselves. So my brand was actually really about empowering your own individuality for you speaking out for the freedoms that you believe in, and actually like showing that to the world. Because a lot of times I've noticed with many people, we're more just so easily confining to what society wants. And we've all been grown into that type of indoctrination through our own family, through friends, through work. So I started to realize, like, no, I need to start breaking this chain before everybody starts becoming, sheep, robots. But it's already too late. So, just can only like broadcast the message out to those who want to hear the message. So that's who I am.
I love it.
I
That's awesome.
love the purposely misspelled impenetrable too, with the word rebel at the end. It's genius.
Oh yeah, it's definitely purpose. So because when you stand up for anything that you believe in, I already knew that people are going to label you as a rebel or someone against the whole entire situation. So I was like, well, if you're going to call me a rebel, I'm going to own it. I'm going to like proudly wear it. And yeah, I'm going to live my life as that rebel then. So thank you very much. Arrivederci.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. That's such a great brand. And like the fact that you had it open before then, it must have been something to have seen the level of compliance that there truly was underneath the skin of everything to see it actually brought out in like full face where you're like, oh, okay, that's disappointing to an extent. So
well, I've been kind of raised up where I already knew that a lot of these so-called systems that everyone relies on and believed in were actually not in favor for any of us, literally in a humanitarian way, for anybody really to be like together in any type of way. They use these words in regards to manipulating people, really just in regards to economic profits, not really for any type of true means of actually doing things. Just like how we celebrate, these holidays, it's all about like the money aspect. How well do you spend on your gifts? How well do you spend on your decorations? How well do you over lavishly like spend on food and all this stuff to impress people who were afterwards, they ain't calling you or even business about who you are. So like, it's just the funniest thing to me completely about it. But, I just try to like make people more aware of what's going on, and just, if they agree, cool. If you don't agree, go ahead, live your life. It's all fine with me.
And I agree the system's not for us whatsoever. A lot of people have a lot of faith into the Charter of Rights. And I believe it's section 32. It winds up saying that it's only for the government. Like that whole section basically says it's only for the government. It's for parliament and legislators.
Yeah.
So,
like literally none of the system as this doctor has already like definitely shown to us that the system that they had in place was actually a good system to be put in place, which actually did respect people's pro-choice. But the problem was you have other individuals now who want to take that information and use it as their own and now enforce their own ideology out of that type of information for you to follow. And that's where we have a major problem that's been going on, is that I just want the truth of the information, not you trying to force an ideology or dictate to me what you think the message or the information that was presented to you should go. The way how you may interpret an information, Jamie, may be different from how I interpret the information differently. Same way with Jess, Same way with Kim. It's the same way as, like they say, you all have a different type of communication with God.
Yeah.
So just leave me with that piece full of truth information, and I can actually make that choice for myself.
So you mean a democracy?
What I find
Exactly.
super interesting, though, was the fact that they never clarified that type of like, it's a policy type thing until really now. Like, that was a very, very steep, clarification. If that had been around back in October, I really do think that we would have seen a completely different climate for the fall and winter that we just saw. So I'm really wondering, I wrote down a few things from that, like the fact that, do you think that they did this to place the liability back onto businesses to be the ones to cover for any kind of back injuries?
Of course they did.
Because
Of course they did.
that was absolutely incredible.
All right, then I'll show you right now where the government has always been trying to place the onus on like the people, and then they take themselves out of the situation completely. All right, if everybody now remembers out here in Canada, when they started to say that there was no more smoking allowed inside establishments, remember? No more smoking allowed. Because I grew up in a time where like smoking was almost inside every damn restaurant, every damn airplane, all of that. All right. Now, the initiative is definitely good. You know what I mean? For those who don't smoke, why would you want to be inside an establishment that is like full of like nicotine air? Nicely. So what the government now did was like force all of these bars and establishments to set up now a smoking shack. All right. If they did not do that, they were going to face a fine. Same thing with like the hospitals. Thank you. Right? Now, a few months later now, what did the government now say to all of them? You guys are not allowed to have smoking shacks. You need to take it down or you're going to face a fine. So who was left paying the bills in regards to this government assistance in regards to your health? The business owners.
Interesting.
Right? So now fast forward again now to what they're now doing with this whole entire policy that they call of a mandate. You must do all of this and follow what we say. But now, if you do follow everything that we say, we're not liable. You guys took the action and actually played it all out. Sorry. Bye.
Well, now all these businesses have all these like extra patio furniture, extra plexiglass, all this stuff. And it's just like, are we going to anticipate that they're going to just like take it away and put it out in the back room? Like possibly some of them, but a lot of them be like, no, I paid for this. I'm going to damn well get my use out of it. And it's just like, but why now? So interesting.
Yeah. But this is now what a lot of these small business to medium-sized business owners are now dealing with. They had to spend more money in regards to losing more customers and still wondering if they're going to be regaining back on any type of profits that they lost because they're now segregated in regards to who they can service and who they cannot service.
Exactly.
It's like they're playing on people's like minds and psychological where it's like, come on now, when are you going to wake up and realize that you're in a losing situation every time you play along with them?
Exactly. The other thing I'll point out too is consent makes the law. So basically, if they handed down these mandates and none of us consented and we all went about our daily activity, there would have been no mandates. So a mandate is basically for advising. It's a high level of advisement, and you either consent or you don't. And the ones that didn't consent and have gotten charges or fines or whatever, we're all fighting them because once we get to the end, they're all going to drop anyway. Right. So it doesn't matter if they find you guilty by the time we start winning, which is going to happen. They clearly said that they've been infringing on our rights. So that won't last forever. And once we start winning, man, it's going to be beautiful.
Exactly. Now, just to like even like jump on what Jamie was saying in regards to like, you know, the participation, even a policy, if you do not participate in a policy, that policy has no effect.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's like you participating in a game. If you do not participate in the game, you do not win and you do not lose. So it doesn't affect you.
Exactly.
But the minute you actually participate in the game, well, now you invested.
Yeah. And we can take it one step further, because with a policy, think about that word. Where does a policy come from? A corporation sets policies. So we have the Corporation of Canada, we have the Corporation of Ontario setting down their policies. Well, if I don't work for the company, do the policies apply to me? I don't think so, right? That'd be like Costco trying to get me to dress in their uniform when I don't even have a membership. Yeah, right.
I feel like they just laid down these mandates as a way to beta test how much they could get away with not having to actually go through legislation for laws, and what they could get people to do. That way, this is just a test for the next round and the next round, the next round.
Thank you. Everything has literally been a test in all of our lives.
Yeah.
Literally every way that they do it. Everybody is literally in a lab facility, and they're just testing us in regards to our emotional reactions to the things that they throw at us. How are you going to react to this? What are you going to do after this? What are you going to do with that? And literally everyone falls for it, hook, line, and sinker. Like, oh my God, are you seeing this? Oh my God, are you seeing that? Oh my God, I need to do this now. I need to go grab all this toilet paper now, because like this whole world is going into crazy nutshell. Like, I need toilet paper though, right? Like this is.
Well, even what's happening right now with the war with the Ukraine-Russia kind of thing, a bunch of people who I had followed, that I was just like, that were like, 2 weeks ago, they were like, anything out of mainstream media is a bunch of bullshit and blah, 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 blah. And now they're just like eating it up. And it was just like, I'm like, why are you trusting any of this? You didn't trust this 2 weeks ago. Why? It's not trustworthy, period. So it's just
Malcolm X has been telling us from time that do not trust mainstream media entity. It is the most powerful weapon used. It can make an innocent person look guilty and a guilty person look innocent by the way that they put out the narrative.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
And even like when I was growing up, I came from a Jamaican culture. And the first thing that I was always told, raised up out here, being a Canadian or, whatever nationality you want to say I am here in this country, or whatever country of a corporation, because I don't feel I'm a part of a nationality now that I know that it's a corporation. That's all a joke to me now. But anyways, my family was raising me up where they're like, do not follow everything that they try to tell you out here in North America, because they'll turn you into a fool. Have a mind of your own. What's happening now? The same people that were raising me, telling me not to follow what's going on out here, are the same ones following everything that they see on CP24 and CNN and all that, and are telling me, well, no, you need to follow what this doctor is saying and follow. And I'm just like, yeah, no, thank you.
And compliance is only bringing on more restrictions too. People aren't realizing, like, businesses have a duty to be like, no, I'm not following that, right? To stop this. The more businesses that are complying and doing this, it's only bringing on more restrictions. Complying gets us nowhere. Complying is what got us in this mess in the first place. So we have a duty as businesses even.
Yeah. The one thing that's been going on is that these people have been trying to use what I call wordplay to actually manipulate and psychologically put people in a wrong predicament. All right. Now, when they came out and told all of these small businesses that they need to have a policy in place, all of them started to actually put in the mandate, not a policy, but a mandate. Okay. There is a huge difference. Now, when you can put out a policy, a lot of the smart business owners were like, well, our policy is that we're not going to ask you guys nothing about your medical information.
Yeah.
That's the policy. It's that simple, right? Not of a policy saying, well, you need to show proof or you need to have this in regards to keeping your employment. This is why where a lot of people, even in that communication game, you remember that communication game in school where one person said something, it went around, and by the time it came back to you, it was a completely different story.
Telephone.
Because everybody is taking, the telephone communication game. That's what's literally been happening. These small business owners and everybody who's taking the interpretation of what the government has been telling them and now manipulating it into their own way, thinking that, okay, well, I have no liability and I'm not going to have no charges against me for implementing this. Oh, yeah, really now? Aren't you the sucker? Okay.
Well, it's just crazy too because like I said again, they didn't chime in to recorrect the situation and say, oh no, these are just policies. And then with these places just putting in these mandates, like it's just I'm really curious now moving forward if they try to do this again, because he kind of danced around the whole whether or not they'll re-implement that again, right? But with coming out with that, I really am curious to see in the future with businesses if they're like, no, either mandate or you're not mandating it. But like, you can't just come out trying to say, oh yeah, it's a mandate. But like, what happened with the people with dining inside? So dining inside was part of the policy. So, but if you didn't do it, then you got a fine. So what is it? You can't have it both ways.
Now, in the
Well, they
video,
can go ahead, Jamie.
I
Go
was
ahead,
gonna
Jamie.
the parts that I didn't play, he winds up talking about getting rid of the mask by March 17th, and not to get used to it because they could bring it back in the fall. That's what we call launch marketing. Okay, launch marketing, coming soon, coming this summer, coming June 9th. They do a whole build up to get you prepared and ready for it. And this whole pandemic has been nothing but launch marketing. They have always told us what they're going to do before they've done it. It's
Yep.
amazing.
It's also in regards to where a lot of these people are just putting out information without any verification of truth. So we're literally getting information that are post-truths, right? Later on, people are now confirming and realizing that, okay, none of this is actually truthful. I need to go back now and research some more. And when people are now figuring it out and seeing like, okay, well, Mr. Just Lido, a.k.a. Justin Trudeau, has been dancing around all of this stuff and not actually like speaking any type of truths, that's when everybody is like, okay, what's going on here right now? But for those who don't even know what the truth is, they're just going to believe whatever is coming out of someone's mouth and thinking that, oh, well, they know it. Just like how they can believe anybody is an expert, but don't realize that that expert is being paid to actually talk.
Yeah, exactly. And as we see things like this too, we got to take into consideration that the government never freely gives anything back. So as they're dropping all of these, we know that they're implementing other methods on trying to get it a little more kind of in there. So we do know that they're trying to write in the vaccines into the labor laws, but how successful they're going to be, no idea yet. And they're trying with other bills for censorship and all kinds of things. So every time they're letting something go, this is where you have to become aware of what's happening and look for the things that they're not showing us. Again, like we're losing the license plate sticker. Everyone's like, oh, great, I don't have to pay that $120. But now what they're doing is they're going to make a yearly safety check, which will cost you a minimum of $300. And then whatever is wrong with your vehicle on top of that, and then you're going to get a nice little sticker that will possibly have some sort of a chip installed in it so the police can scan it without pulling you over and already know whether you're certified or not. So whenever they loosen up on one, they're clamping on another. And this is where we all got to get our shit together and start working as one unit.
Yeah.
And I agree with Jamie on that part, because what they're more trying to clamp on is having everybody literally in this digital world. Yep. Because the more they have you in this digital world, the more they have control of you. And I actually even posted this on my actual like Instagram and also on like my Facebook page, where there was a movie back in like 1993 called Enemy of the State with Gene Hackman and Will Smith. Now, if anybody who has not watched that film, go back and actually look at the film, where Gene Hackman was a guy that was like living rogue behind the scenes. And he literally said, the government has been embedded with the digital and marketing of mainstream media from time. And the more digital you go, the more they have track and trace of you on everything and anything that you are doing. So even all of this stuff that we're all thinking that it's so nice and much more easier with all of this technology, it's just more information where they're like, okay, he has an ID. All right, I know who that is. I know what that's going with. I can now like manipulate them with all of these algorithms. And that's literally what's been happening. Because now algorithms are coming in and you're not actually researching anything anymore. The algorithms are now bombarding you with all the stuff that they think that you want to know about, and that's all you get.
Yep.
Yeah. And they've
So we
already
just
started using celebrities too, right? Like Drake just opened up locally a club in Toronto called History, and it's zero cash. It's all of it is just digital. And people think this is wonderful because their favorite celebrity is endorsing it. And we're going to see a lot more of that. A lot of celebrities speaking up about this and people thinking it's a wonderful direction to go. And yeah, they just need to know the truth on this.
You know what? Actually, I was in Sephora a couple weeks ago, and I went to go try to pay, and she was trying to use something on her phone to put my order through. And I was like, "Oh, I have cash." She's like, "Oh, okay." And I guess the app that they're trying to use, it's like totally cashless. So they're going to be. She's like, "Yeah, like in like we're just we're just like testing this right now, but eventually there like won't be any registers. Like you will just check out with like somebody being able to stand there. You can just check out with them and then go." And I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Well, I like to pay in cash," and she's just like, "Yeah, kind of getting rid of that kind of thing." And I'm like, wow, like, and like people don't
This is
realize
what they've
like
been doing, yeah.
so it's just like, okay, do something the government doesn't like, and then they turn off your bank account.
Exactly, but this is also the main reason why they attack the small and medium-sized businesses, because what a lot of people don't realize, a lot of small and medium-sized businesses, when we are doing interacting with our clients, our customers, our people, it's cash.
Yeah.
Like, say that I want like now an abundance of like certain type of stuff. I can now go to a clothing maker and pay cash to get a certain amount so that it's good. The problem is now with a lot of these corporations, and what this government was doing was that they wanted it digital so that every damn small penny, even though we don't have pennies anymore, is being accounted for. Nothing is not off the books. Everything is now on the books.
Yeah.
And with the digital, as I said, they now keep track of what's going on. So that's why they knocked out all medium and small businesses on purpose.
Yep. They try to get rid of what they call private, or public money, but it's private. We're in the private. So they try to get rid of the private money so that they also maintain the control and access on everything else. So we're watching Bill S-233. It's basically the universal basic income. And it sounds really great because a lot of people will benefit, like welfare recipients, CPP, and a bunch of people that are into the lower income. But the downside to it all is the government is going to be giving us all a paycheck, which means they become our boss. I want to touch on one of the questions.
AKA, you're now their child, so you're now getting an allowance. You know what I mean? Like, actually take a look at it that way. You're getting an allowance. So this is what your worth is, an allowance from the government.
Exactly. Now, there's a question in the chat. Where'd it go? Oh, I just lost it. Somebody was asking how we get our shit together, because I wound up making that call.
Good question.
They said, I've been hearing this a lot. And yes, we all have been. And the way we get our shit together is when we watch a business standing up, we go and support them as often as we can. Every business we're watching going with the flow, stop supporting them. Pull your money out of your bank and use cash, right? Start to find groups in your neighborhoods, your cities, your towns, and get together with like-minded people and start to create your own community, and then get ideas going with each other. So these are multiple ways to get it going. But again, support anyone you see standing.
That's the biggest thing that I've been getting. Everybody always asking me, like, so what do we do to actually get ourselves out of this? And I'm like, you have it right there in front of your own faces. The Amish have their own type of community and have been living very well without any type of government interference. You've also been seeing how mafia, gangsters have their own type of network and everything. And no government interference is going on and affecting their lives in any way, shape, or form. So if you guys cannot see that these people already set up a system and are doing it on their own without the government assistance, then you can do it too. But the problem is that everybody is so quickly to say, well, I need government funding for this, or I need government funding for that. Slow down, because the minute you take any type of government funding, they now can dictate to you what you do, what you can't do because you're now taking their money.
Yep.
Yep, I completely agree.
Wake up.
It's like having the surety of a D grade life versus the potential to be able to achieve a B or an A, but you have to push that much harder. So if you just want the surety, I don't have to do anything, I'm just going to have a D grade life. It's just like, if there's too much of that, man, society just crumbles. Because like, how much can be supported by that? Like, how are you going to be able to support a basic income for everybody if no one is producing anything, or they don't want to? They have no reason to. There's nothing. There's no push. This is wild.
But that is going to be the majority of the world, though, because majority of the world doesn't want to work. They don't want to think. They don't even want to research. Most of them don't even want to stand up for them themselves. I'll be straight up and tell you. It's just plain and simple. There are just going to be the few that will do that.
Yeah. Damn.
It's just plain facts. I'm not here to like sugarcoat it and say like, yeah, we can save everybody. No, we can't save everybody because not everybody wants to be saved.
The way I look at it is I keep telling people, be cautious who you make your leaders and your heroes. It's time to be responsible and step up and become your own hero, your own savior. No one's going to save you but you. That's it.
I agree. That's why, like, I take my son out to Huff Gym. Shout out to Teresa over there at Huff Gym, because, like, as a father, yeah, I'll stand up and fight for my kids no matter what way, shape, or form. But there's going to be times where I'm not there for my child and they have to fight for themselves or what they believe in. So, you know what? Go out there, learn how to like box, learn how to like stand up for yourself, learn how to take a hit and come back even harder and keep fighting for what you.
Frozen Juma. Well,
he'll come back with us in a second. That was a perfect message, though. It's basically being an adult. It's like if you're looking for if you are afraid of what the world is going to give you and throw at you, and you need something, an adult to stand in your way, there is nothing that's going to really be in your best interest. Like, no one's going to look after you the way that you need to be looked after. There is no mom and dad once you're an adult. Like, I guess to an extent in a familiar kind of situation, but like not in government. Like, to be looking for your adults, your parents in government is like that's why the state says like their constitutional right to guns, because it's just like those people are like, yeah, of course, we'll be your mom and dad, just give us all your money and all the control and all the power, we'll do everything great. Like, no, off. So no. Do you, I was going to say this before, do you think that, I mean, like, I want to say obviously, but like that this timely removal of all these mandates and things like that, it's happening kind of fairly quickly, that, do you think any part of it is due to the litigation that's in the system right now? Because that's been kind of more subtle. No one's really talking about that too much. But I really wonder if they're getting to a point with it where they're like, okay, we're going to have to kind of end things soon just so we can drop this, because we're clearly beyond the realm of what we can actually do right now. So,
well, I think the COVID narrative has pretty much died. People aren't nearly as frightened over it as they were. We've put monkey wrenches in their gears on a global level. We were supposed to get the digital ID in the fall, not the Vax Pass. We were supposed to get the Vax Pass this spring. So they switched orders. But now they're really pushing for the digital world. They're offering businesses to get into the digital market up to $100,000 in grants. So they're switching into the next gear. Don't kid yourself. They're not dropping anything. They're just switching gears, right? So this is exactly what they're doing. They've lined us up to the digital ID, and then it's going to be able to track everything. I wound up getting a ticket the other day, a speeding ticket. I was driving my girlfriend's car, and the officer came up to the window and he said, this isn't your car. And I was like, no. And then he looked in the passenger and he said, is this your car? And she said, yes. And he said, okay, your license is clean and you have insurance. Without even knowing, just from running the plate. So a friend has told me that this has been going on for about 5 years, and this is the whole lineup of the digital ID, right? They link everything. So your birth certificate, your health card, your banking is getting lined up. I'm switching bank accounts and I'm reading a bunch of the stuff that's within that. Your driver's license, everything is all linked. So it's all coming down to going into a digital society So what we're looking at is a cryptocurrency of some sort or a digital dollar. And if you want to see how it's going to play out, look at China's currency right now. They got rid of physical currency. It's all digital. You have to have a digital wallet. So those that know cryptocurrency know what I'm talking about. So you need a wallet, and they have a social credit system, which means if you're an asshole, you lose credits when you're out in society. If you're a good little boy or girl, you gain credits. So
government size.
this is what it is. Now you take everything I just said, and then you roll in what the government just did with the trucker fund, right? They seized that, and then they locked people's bank accounts. When Trudeau was trying to enact the Emergency Act, they rewrote a part that would allow them to freeze bank accounts. Chrystia Freeland clearly said that they were going to leave parts of it in permanently. So the freezing your bank account is the permanent part. Now, if you have everything on digital currency, on a digital ID, including your money, as soon as you piss them off, you post a Facebook video or something that they don't like, they lock you out of your bank account. Total domination and control. And this is why we have to not go digital. Keep cash. Try and pay for everything you can with cash. It's hard to do nowadays because, ordering online and other things, sometimes you can't get things unless you order online. We get that. But your grocery purchase, when you're out and about, start sourcing out the things you want and try and find them local. If it's, a couple of bucks more, support your local. Go pay cash. This is going to slow them right down, if not stop them, the more of us that do it. So there are different methods we can really get into that will really slow them down. Again, I wound up saying that we were supposed to get digital ID in the fall. Instead, we got the vaccine pass. So we've been throwing monkey wrenches in their gears, and they know it, right? So we just got to keep doing that, stand together, stand strong. And what we watched with the trucker convoy, again, I'll kind of do the math really quickly. On January 29th, the OPP and the RCMP estimated there is 2 to 2.3 million people that wound up in Ottawa that day, right? So when you have 2.3 million people in Ottawa, all the bridges that they passed from BC to Ottawa and from Newfoundland to Ottawa, for example, Vaughan, there was over 10,000 people on the bridge to meet the truckers, right? So you figure that'd be about 20%. Let's be generous and say it's 20% that showed up to Ottawa. Well, that's 11.5 million people across Canada. That's 30% of the population. That's more than the government was voted in for. That's not the fringe minority. That's the silent majority, right? If it was 10% of the people that showed up in Ottawa, then we're looking at 20 million people. You know what I mean? So we are at a major tipping point. They know it, and they're treading lightly right now. So they've
been lying this whole entire time, though, Jamie, and I'm glad to be back. I don't know what happened there. But the whole entire joke that they said that 80% of Canadians are vaccinated was a complete bull crap lie, because if it was, you wouldn't be seeing them trying to set up, clinics inside subway stations here in Toronto.
Exactly.
In the most dirty sanctuary area to ever set up for somebody to be taking a shot, and then continuously doing so much promotion, and then also trying to state okay, these people are fringe minorities. Come on now. If you really had it that way, you didn't have to resort to so much advertising and coercing to get it all done. Now, would you? You would have been well, leave them alone. They can actually join the majority of what's going on out here. But it wasn't the majority. So it was a complete lie on the marketing aspect of saying that 80% was vaccinated. We're nowhere near that period at all.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. And when you listen to what they said about the shot, they were basically they give key words. So it was 80% of the eligible population. So what does eligible mean? Who is actually the eligible ones, and what percentage is that? So let's say 60% of the population is eligible, and when they were at the count of 70% was vaccinated, then when you do the math, that's like 42%, right? And then
But
from
this is what
there,
I agree. Go ahead.
you have the placebos, which is another 30%. So now you're down to 29 to 32% because it's 30 to 35% of the placebos.
Again, Jamie's like nailing it because it's just on the wordplay. But if people actually paid attention to the wordplay, they would actually really understand that, okay, now there's research to be done because these guys are leaving out truths that is actually vital information. So when you do that now, you now get to expose what they're actually really about and what is really the agenda. So it's so funny to me, but I'm so glad that Jamie points it out so nice and elegantly. So it's fine with me.
Thanks, Juma. Awesome. So what do you got in the near future happening, Juma? You got any big plans?
I did do a big speech at Queen's Park last month, and it went kind of viral because I actually came out there and was just knocking up the entire narrative about, like, white supremacists and, racists at these rallies and all that, because that's what this government wants to be continuously using in regards to causing division, causing segregation, and not unity, which is also another thing that I'm also going to address, that this government only does any of these, like, Black Lives Matter or only of these unity campaigns when it works in favor for them. When they now start to see that the people were gathering together of multi-different cultures in regards to speaking up for freedoms and against this agenda, that's when they put out there in the mainstream media, well, it's being led by white supremacists. It's being led by racists. So that other people of cultures, when they see this and read it, they're like, well, why the hell would I want to join that?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like encouraging. That doesn't sound like I want to be a part of that. So that's why you do not see the numbers of, like, different cultures coming out there, because they have forced it down people's throats saying that it is white supremacist, all that. So I'm literally going to start doing it again. I'm going to be out there at Queen's Park with another speech to do so. I'm also going to be working on, like, doing some stuff for some kids, like some nice programs and all that, like basketball clinic programs for kids that are going to be coming up this spring and such. So pay attention for that that's going on. I'm coming out with, like, some new branding for my clothing wear that's coming out. Thanks to everybody that's in the movement, outside of the movement, that's been supporting it. But really, I just want people that are going to be wearing my brand to stand up for themselves, be a hero to themselves, and be an example for others all around them, right? So I just hope that it goes that way completely and utterly. But if there is another convoy happening around anywhere, holler at me. I'll come on out there, destroy the narrative that this mainstream media wants to have of white supremacists and racist people. Yeah, holler at me. I'll be there. All right. Thank you.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. Juma, I do love that you have spoken out about this, because I think it's so stinking obvious that the race card has been used by the government and media as almost virtue signaling in the last 2 years with Black Lives Matter and recently with the Freedom Convoy, because anybody who speaks out about freedom and rights is clearly a racist these days, right? So
well, anyone that's been doing it from time has been knocked down. Like, anything that speaks up for freedom, everybody has. Yeah. We've all seen it in the mainstream media from time. Like, just recently with Colin Kaepernick against, like, police brutality. He got exiled right out of the NFL league. The man doesn't even make any money again as a quarterback. So it's just been going around on all levels.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's so powerful too when you I mean, I know this past month, February 1st to March 1st is a big month for a lot of people, but I love that you stood up and kind of took the opposite narrative in saying, for as long as I am Black, I am historical. I do not need a month. I exist for a lifetime. And that is just so beautifully powerful.
I'll be straight up. I hate Black History Month. I do not find it as anything uplifting. Well, for those of that are not educated, it is actually good for them to actually know about that. But if you are someone that is of any culture, of any ethnicity, your history should not be just left to 1 month. It should be with everybody else. It's part of
Yeah.
world history,
It's a shared history.
right? It's shared history.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Regardless of how it looks, it's everyone's history to understand and then learn from it in regards to like, how can we be better as better human beings, as better spirituality of people going forward on this, and just a better individuals. Like, we should not be going back to these barbaric type of ways or still thinking that these barbaric ways are okay. I find that this Black History Month is completely repetitive of the same shit over and over again.
It
And it
also
doesn't actually enlight about like the actual like progress, even though it has been little, but the progress that has been made by like many people of color and also different ethnicities in regards to like everybody being in one love as one race and actually like, peace amongst all. But, they do this just because they want to keep the same type of indoctrination going on over and over again. And it just spills out the same type of emotions over and over again. That's all it does.
Yep. And I agree with you. It should all be one history. We're all one. No more segregation, separation, none of that stuff. We
None
should
of
be
it. Yeah.
learning it all together, in one
You learn
history.
from your mistakes. And so it's just like if we kind of like just wash history out with all the things we don't want to remember, it's like, where's the learning lessons? Where do you keep from having repeat situations? You don't. And then history can repeat itself. So it's like you have to have it, take it warts and all. So, yeah.
The problem is that I even posted it up because there was an interview too with Morgan Freeman on 60 Minutes years ago.
Yeah, I seen
And
that one.
Morgan Freeman asked him, and he goes, "What month is Jewish month?" And he goes,
Yeah.
"We don't have." No, he goes, "What month is White History Month?" And he goes, "Well, I'm Jewish," and I laughed at that part because I'm like, typical of somebody that's saying like, "Okay, well, I'm not that category. I'm over here. I'm Jewish." That part made me laugh. But then when Morgan Freeman asked him like, "Would you like to have a Jewish History Month?" and he said, "No, no, 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 no." So why do we still have a Black History Month if nobody else is having like a Portuguese History Month or a Greek History Month or like come on now. Like, this is now ridiculous.
Yeah.
Utterly ridiculous.
He's like, it ends when we stop talking about it, when we stop celebrating these
Exactly.
events, right? Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing was that he literally said, like, I'm going to stop going around and saying, like, I have this white friend named Michael Wallace. And you're going to stop walking around saying, like, I have this Black friend named Morgan Freeman. I don't go around saying, like, yo, Jamie Russo is my white friend. I say that Jamie Russo is my friend, and he's up there in Barrie as a tattoo artist. You know what I mean? I say that I have my boy Fred. He's Asian, but I don't tell anybody that he's Asian. He's a great real estate person. Go check him out. Go see him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do any of that stuff. And the next thing, too, is also with this fringe minority stuff that I just hate that one right now. I got caught up with it, too. I'm not going to lie, I did. But the thing about this fringe minority, what a lot of people are not seeing is that they're now calling you guys even a worse term than like me calling myself a nigger, than a white person calling themselves a honky, a Spanish person calling themselves a spick, and people are around here parading like, yes, I'm a fringe minority. What the hell are you guys celebrating about?
Yeah.
There's nothing about that to celebrate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Someone is name calling you something even worse than what I just put into your minds. And you guys are all like, well, yes, I'm a fringe minority. Get the hell out of here with that crap. You are a human being. Nothing less, nothing more. You are a human being. Be proud of it.
Exactly.
Simple.
Exactly.
All they do with this fringe minority is allowing now you to be called yourself now a lower classification of a human being. What, you're not Canadian now that you're a fringe minority?
Yeah. Right.
Think about it right now. These are the type of word plays and phrases that they put out there, and then people gravitate to it and thinking like, oh my God, like I'm cool and all that. Like, I hate when brothers are around like, yeah, I'm a proud nigga. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're a
Yeah.
Negro. You're a human being, though. Be proud that you're a human being. Stop this foolishness. Like, it's just the worst sickening of a mindset for people. So get rid of it.
I agree with that 100%.
Yep. Same.
Completely.
Well
So
said,
I just
Juma.
hope that going forward that we do now like realize and start catching these things and like we're all together on this, because that's literally what I'm about. As you guys already know, I've been here with We Are Essentials, helping out businesses, all that. I team up with anybody and everybody in regards to like our freedoms. And if anybody wants to, yeah, I'm with it. But let's just now be smart about it. I'm not going to say I'm perfect because I'm going through this just as much as anybody else. But if I recognize something, well, then, yeah, I'm going to do better because that's what we just have to do. We just got to be better.
Exactly.
I completely agree.
Well, I think that's a really good positive note to end this off on. We're about the hour mark. So that's
Yes.
great. Very, very positive, very inspiring. So I'm just going to tell everybody that if you're a business owner, know a business owner, we encourage you to come and join us at We Are All Essential. That's weareallessential.ca. You can register your business. You don't have to go public. You can stay behind the scenes. There's a lot of information to learn. Whatever way you want to learn what your rights are, learn them first, then take your stand. It's a great support group. We do Zoom meetings. We have a Telegram group, an SOS chat for any trouble that you might wind up being in. And you always have the support of your like-minded business friends to be able to help you and coach you and mentor you through all kinds of situations. Also, if you don't have a business and you want to do a little bit more, and really start to give, join as a volunteer. You know, the more shoulders we have, the better. So, yeah, exactly. We can really start to get traction and get this really going on. So, also, make sure you like this video, share it, subscribe. Let's get this podcast out there, get it in as many hands as possible. This way we can grow this and get our message out. So I hope you all enjoyed tonight. That video was crazy. We got some gold nuggets out of there. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Definitely.
Bye.
Thank you. We are
Juma.
Essential. It's been a grand. Oh, it's been grand, you guys.